Welcome into the Missed Call Podcast. On today's episode, we have North Central College pitcher Charlie Klemm. And Sauce absolutely nerded the hell out for this interview.
Well, Cub, but that was part of the reason why I wanted Charlie on the podcast so bad is because I knew Mr. Klemm was one of the only people that I know that can match my level of nerdiness when it comes to baseball.
Hey, but we get into it at the end. Sauce and I both get very, very upset with Mr. Chuck. I have to call him Mr. Chuck from now on because I'm stupid.
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out in episode 116. Cub, I think this is a perfect opportunity to take us to Charlie Klemm.
100%.
All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah. Never seen a pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't call back, leave me alone. Please leave a message at the tone. All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah.
What's up, guys? Welcome into episode 116 of the Missed Call Podcast. This is Cubwood. As always, I'm here with Sauce Sartori. And special guest today is Charlie Klemm from North Central College. Charlie, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
This is an interview, Charlie, that I think has definitely been on my radar for a couple of months. I had the opportunity, the pleasure of going with you guys to Tampa Bay on your spring trip, literally right before coronavirus hit. Had the opportunity to watch you pitch one time, just was completely blown away by how nasty your stuff is. I broadcast that game, and now I get to have a podcast with you, so I'm interested to have this conversation with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
No, most definitely. And there will be a lot of them during the process of this interview. Now, I kind of wanted to start with the fact that in a lot of people's opinion, you might be classified as a baseball nerd. What with the Rapsodo and the really analyzing your body and putting together some analytics of who Charlie Klemm is to figure out how to be a better pitcher. I know some of the basics of how Rapsodo works and how the driveline programs and things work, but I'm wondering if maybe you can elaborate on it for me and maybe teach our listeners a thing or two as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started using Rapsodo this summer when I got together with one of my buddy's coaches, and he said, you can come throw and get on the Rapsodo. We can look at some things. So it was pretty new to me this summer, but I mean, throwing with it from the whole summer, I was able to really see some things and differentiate some pitches. So it's set up like, I think 25 feet or so in front of home plate. So obviously you're not going to hit it when you throw, hopefully. And so as the ball comes, there's a little camera in there. So as it's coming, it's going to take pictures frame by frame as the ball's coming. So to see different spin direction, it's going to read velocity, where it's coming out of your hand and how it's going to, where it's going to be at the strike zone, where it starts, where it finishes. So you can see all that and look back at it pitch by pitch. And so the main thing is it's got spin rate, obviously, because you guys know how important spin rate is when you're trying to throw, and the higher you can crank that up, the more your pitch is going to move and the harder it is to see. And the main thing for me that I got to see this summer was throwing a curveball and a slider, how before using it, I was throwing it it was the same pitch. It may have looked different to me, but to the hitter, it was the same spin and it was coming out of the same spot. So, I mean, they really didn't have to, they had to see it a few times and they got it down. No matter which one I threw, it was like they were going to see the spin. So I got to work with the Rapsodo, hey, change the grip up, get it to spin a different way. And now I can spin the curveball and slider in different directions to make them two separate pitches as opposed to them morphing into each other.
And I think it's absolutely incredible what like the Rapsodo and Driveline and those programs, those are obviously the two big name ones. I'm sure that there are other programs out there as well and other technologies out there that help pitchers develop themselves. But it's kind of incredible the way that baseball is being broken down into a science more and more every day. I've always said that baseball is an art form, but more and more so every day it's becoming a science. And the more you understand that science and the more you understand how you are a cog in the wheel of that scientific machine, if you will, the better you can operate. And you look at a guy like a Trevor Bauer, who I'm sure that you at least
favorite guy to watch.
and me too. And I don't even throw baseballs for a living. But, you know, you look at a guy like him and he'll tell you, I'm not the best athlete in the league, but I understand myself as a human being the best. And that's why I perform the way that I do.
It's unreal. I mean, Trevor Bauer is honestly my favorite guy to watch in the league. He's somebody that he's got his own YouTube page and I'm on there all the time trying to, I mean, one of the things that was what I did a lot during quarantine he's got a segment on his YouTube page called Breaking Point, and where he will break down at bats versus hitters. And it actually helped me realize in the game that you saw, I did give up 2 home runs to the same kid. And it helped me realize after watching it, I was like, that's what I did. And it wasn't that my pitch was bad. I led him to that by setting him up for it. I didn't change it up enough. I didn't do this. And by going through that, I was like, okay, I can't really do stuff in game-wise. So I need to get better on the mental side of it. And I need to learn how to sequence better and how I can think like these guys and beat them in the thinking game as opposed to being able to work out physically.
What I've started to hear a lot of from pitchers who use these technologies is a lot of I. Does that make sense? Like, I didn't throw the ball the right way, or I have a curveball and a slider that look the same, right? Where sometimes I feel it can become a lot of the conversation of, oh, he just hit it, or he just got to it, or he just guessed. What I hear about from pitchers like yourself is a lot of I statements, which is kind of different and kind of refreshing in a way too.
Because if you sit there and you could say, oh, he did this or he did that, or it was just one of those pitches, or you're not doing yourself any favors. Sure, maybe you're going to justify it to somebody else like that, but I mean, I'm going to be the first one to say, hey, I own up. I'm own up to it. Like, that was my mistake, or I did this, or he hit that, and it was my fault because I put it where it was, or I didn't sequence the right way. Like, because if you do that, you can sit there and you can get better after every time instead of trying to like, oh, well, that was a good pitch, I'm going to keep throwing it. Like, that's not going to help you out.
No, 100%. And it just, again, like I really think that pitching is a beautiful thing. It's an art form. It's a science. And to watch guys like you be able to break it down, digest it, and spit it back out, and then be like, okay, now I'm just going to dominate and shove for 9 innings it's incredible. It's
interesting too, because the way you talk about it moving towards the science is, I had a conversation with our pitching coach here is Tim Stoddard. Obviously played 13 years in the bigs, won a World Series.
Pitcher's got a big butt.
He's in Rookie of the Year too. And he's obviously been around the block, so he knows a lot. And we were talking about it too back during the season, how he said, coming into this year, the Cincinnati Reds had fired 136 years of major league experience to bring in guys who were like science guys, like guys who hadn't played baseball, let alone professional baseball. They don't play baseball. It was science and data and all that, and because that's the way kind of the game is moving.
And now look at obviously Trevor Bauer is going to do his own thing, and he's going to figure things out himself. But look at the resurgence of Sonny Gray.
Oh yeah,
and so many different guys on their roster, just up and down, shove every time they go out.
The Cincinnati Reds honestly have 3 of my favorite pitchers to watch in Trevor Bauer, Sonny Gray, and Luis Castillo, because those are 3 different pitchers that do different things, and they all kind of get it. And I mean, that's my thing, is like, I'm from Chicago, root for the Cubs, but I mean, I'll pass up the Cubs game to watch a better pitching matchup or watch guys that I want to watch. Like, I'm not crazy. I don't need to sit there and blow my head off the screen when things aren't going right or something like that. But like, because I like to watch these guys and I like to see what they do or how they attack hitters, and get to see the different guys pitch the way, because that's obviously where I'm trying to get to.
What's it like to know that what you messed up on, and then you're like, oh, I just have to do that next time? What does it feel like to know, like, this is what I did wrong, and all I have to do is this to change it, and it'll never happen again?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that we talk about is making adjustments from pitch to pitch. So obviously baseball is going to be a game of adjustments. It's who's going to adjust to who quicker. So if they pick up on something that I'm doing, the faster I can adjust to it and change it and neutralize it. Otherwise, if I don't pick it up, it's going to snowball into a bad situation. But knowing when I'm throwing something, or like I figured out, I'm like, that's what I had to do. I'm like, it's such a, like, it's really satisfying because like, okay, now I know how to do this, and now I can open up these doors. It opens up, once you figure something out, it opens up more doors for you to go through.
So go ahead, Cub.
What's it also like knowing that once you go out there, you're going to dominate? Because I was looking over your stats. You only have 3 losses.
In college?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only had 2.
I saw 3.
Get it right, Cub.
I did my research. I saw 3.
I lost 2 games my freshman year, and I haven't lost one since.
You lost one in this past year.
No, he didn't.
I'll pull it up.
Okay.
I think I'm willing to bet Charlie knows his statistics better, but if Cub pulls this out of his ass, then we're
I don't know how we would have lost the game this past year because we were 7-0 to end the season.
And I was present for both of his starts. He shoved in the first one, and the second one he mowed down 9 kids in 4 innings.
Hey, I'm going to be flat out embarrassed if I was wrong because I literally remember going 1, 2, okay, there's 3. 2020. No, that's not what I want.
Well, as he continues to look that up, Charlie, I kind of wanted to talk about adding velocity to a fastball because I know that's something that you're working on right now as you're trying to prepare yourself for the next level. Because I know you're hopeful for that. I know that's something that you are seriously looking at. What goes into adding velocity to a fastball? Right? I think a lot of people have this conception in their head that, oh, you're just born with a rubber arm and you can throw 100. And again, this is breaking it down into science. Anybody can throw 95.
It really is kind of, if you work for it and you know your body and you know the type of thrower you are, you can kind of you can push yourself and really get to a point. Obviously, some guys are going to max out lower than others, and it's just sometimes it is like that. But a lot of the times, knowing how your body works and knowing the different like motions and how you can be efficient to the plate is kind of what you need to do. And so I'm a big video guy, but I don't like to overanalyze. So people say don't compare yourself to like other pitchers because everybody's unique, but obviously you have to do that to a point because they're where you're trying to get to. So you obviously want to get to there. There's certain guys where you can't do that with, like guys like Jake Arrieta and guys like Chris Sale. Like those guys are, the way they throw, you don't want to throw like that because that's something that works for them. And every guy has something different. But when you really break it down into pictures, every guy is going to start different and they'll finish different, but they get to the same positions in their delivery. So if you can kind of replicate to get to the same spot, the rest is kind of like getting stronger, knowing having a throwing program, because a lot of guys think like, oh, if I overthrow, like if I throw too many days, like I'm going to hurt my arm, but it's actually the opposite. Like I'm always one to push myself. Like I heard the comparison before with one of the guys I've worked with. His name's Lance Wheeler. He is a pitching guy down in Nashville and rotates around in California, Nashville. And he talked about how power lifters lift when they're sore. If you want to be a power lifter, you can't not lift when you're sore. So if you're throwing, if you're sore, like I'm sore today, I'm not going to throw. Guess what? Like you got to practice throwing hard if you want to throw hard. Like just you have to practice lifting heavy if you want to lift heavy. Obviously, you have to know the difference between soreness and pain because you don't want to throw through pain, but you want to throw through soreness. So sometimes you have a sore arm and throwing more is what actually gets you out of that.
This is something that Sauce and I have talked about before we interviewed Jeffers because we were on Baseball Reference. We were just looking at innings pitched. Do you think it's astonishing how like Nolan Ryan pitched so many damn innings and now there's like inning restrictions, but Nolan Ryan pitched for basically 30 years, but now no one can do that anymore?
I think it is really because you start to look at those records that guys like that have, like wins, which used to be one of the most important stat a pitcher had, is going by the wayside. Like they want to win games, but it's not like, oh, if you still look at wins, you're kind of behind the times. Like,
and it's almost disappearing at an astonishing rate. Like people are giving less and less of they're caring less and less about the win more and more all the time.
Jacob deGrom is on his way to his third Cy Young, and he has 69 career victories. Could be 70. Like, I mean, yeah, right? But, I mean, that right there tells you, I mean, Nolan Ryan never won a Cy Young. For as many games as he won, he never won a Cy Young. But this guy is at 70 wins, and he's going to win his third Cy Young in 3 years.
That's insane. But also, going back on my research, it's 3. You lost to Babson in 19, and then
it was a no decision. I did not lose that game.
It's written down as an L, so my mistake.
Is it really? I'm going to have to get that checked.
That's an L.
Because that was my – that's when we win or lost the game. If you look at because 2019 was that was that year. If you go to the stat book, it will show you that I was 9-0.
My apologies, Mr. Klemm.
Because I was
You
going
have to call him Charles after that. You don't get to call him.
I called him Mr. I think that's what I.
You don't get to call him Charlie anymore. You have to call him Charles from here on out.
Mr. Chuck.
Mr. Chuck. So obviously we've done a lot. We've talked a lot about your throwing programs, things like that. But we also have to talk about North Central as a baseball program. You are a tremendous talent, and your battery mate, Rob Marinek, phenomenal talent. Your right fielder, Jared Wojcik, an amazing talent. You have guys up and down the roster who feasibly could go D2, D1. But they come to North Central because the baseball program is just so good. Can you talk about that and the program that Ed Matthew runs?
Absolutely. One of the reasons I chose here was because of Coach Matthew, because of Coach Steiner and Coach Heller. I mean, because those were the 3 guys where they walked me through the recruiting process. And obviously, I mean, there were schools I was looking at. I wanted to go here. I wanted to go there. I was waiting for that D1 offer, and I never got one. But coming here, I made pros and cons lists to the other schools that I was looking at, and it kept coming back to the coaching staff. Ed Matthew coached at Northern. He coached here, and he was at Northern Illinois, and led them to some of their most successful years in school history, and came back and has taken that right here with him and has done amazing job with North Central, and getting to learn from him. And obviously somebody who pitched for 13 years in the big leagues, won a World Series with the Orioles, and then coached 22 years at Northwestern. I mean, between those 2 guys, that's a Division I coaching staff. I mean, and even Coach Heller, he played here. He knows the in and outs, and he's done a really good job. Him and Coach Matthew go recruiting all the time, and they keep bringing in just some unreal guys, and they have done such a great job in being able to bring in the right guys too, not just, oh, hey, this guy's good, but his attitude's bad. He brings in a lot of guys that they don't want to bring in guys that are going to ruin the culture that they've built. They bring in the right guys, and they bring in the right guys with the right attitudes.
And it's from a recruiting area that is dense with talent. Like this area of the northwest suburbs and the northern suburbs of Chicago are just dripping with baseball talent. And a lot of people don't recognize that. They don't realize that, but there are so many guys that come out of this area.
And some of we've got, I think, 4 or 5 guys alone just from up by the McHenry County area. They bring in those guys from up there that they play some really good baseball. And I want to talk about Rob Marinek for a second, because he has made pitching here so much better. And I mean, we're always on the same page. There's times where I'm flipping to a pitch in my glove, like I know I'm going to throw this, I'm ready to shake him off to whatever he wants to call, and he called it, and which means he saw the same thing I did, and we're on the same page all the time, and he has made my job so much easier. He does a great job back there.
And what a character too, Rob Marinek.
Yeah, I've got to play with him for 3 seasons here, and basically in another 3 summers. So I've had him in the summer wherever I went to, and
with the Pistol Shrimps.
We did not play with the Pistol Shrimp.
Oh, no?
No.
But you did play on the Pistol Shrimps, correct? I didn't imagine that.
I was supposed to, and they canceled.
Okay.
That name is absolutely hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher for sure. But we ended up playing for the Gems out in the Collegiate League, which was some of the most fun baseball and great times there. They had a great setup.
I mean, and I wanted to. I'll talk about Rob for a second too. On that trip that we all took to Tampa, it was Heller would drive the bus, and Rob would sit shotgun and play music for all of us, and everybody would always roll their eyes and say, "Rob, please, enough with the country music." But he's so much himself, and he so much does not care what anybody else thinks. He's a tremendous character to have in a dugout on a roster. But I remember specifically, Greg Williams and I were setting up for a broadcast of one of the games, and he was chilling back by the backstop, and he turned around and he goes, "You guys want to see a trick?" We're like, "Sure, Rob, go ahead." And he turns around with 7 baseballs in his hand.
His hands are massive.
They're huge.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Oh, okay, he could just hold 7 baseballs."
And it's crazy. I mean, and he plays the game the right way. He plays as hard-nosed as anybody that plays the game. I mean, I'll never forget, I'll share a story. My freshman year, we played in the regional out in Minnesota, and there was a pop-up that he went to try to catch it. And ended up going over like the net. So but he ran face first into a metal pole, and you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet because nobody knew it was going to, and he gets up, puts his mask right back on, runs right behind the plate. I'm good to go. I mean, he got up right away. I mean, the pole probably took more damage than he did.
And that lights a fire in you, does it not?
Yeah. I mean, you love to play with a guy like that.
That's phenomenal. That's a tremendous story. And again, it speaks to the character of the guys that your head coach Ed Matthew brings in. I only got to watch you guys play 5 games, but I enjoyed every second of it because you guys are flowing so well on the field together. Off the field, you guys are flowing just as well together. And it doesn't matter if somebody's a freshman or if somebody's a senior. Like, last year, Dom Listy playing center field is a freshman, but he's hanging out with Carmundi and Outlaw the same as anybody else. You know what I mean? It's just such a camaraderie there that's really important and really cool to see as a spectator and as a broadcaster.
The guys that he's brought in as they get older, they've done a really good job of helping the younger guys and not being the big stereotypical, oh, like I'm a senior, you're a freshman, you're going to do what I say. There's kind of a mutual respect level that we've all developed with each other. Hey, we're here for a reason. We're working for the same thing. Let's get on the same page and let's get after it.
100%. So let's kind of get back to Charlie Klemm for a second. So we were doing a little digging, just a little bit. I mean, we're not going too deep, but what is it like to spend $100 on a summer league game just to get tossed out?
Yeah, so that was the first time I've ever been thrown out of a game, and I could not believe it.
Walk us through that situation first.
Yeah. So we were playing the Bobcats, and it was down obviously at the Corn Crib, and I was throwing a game where I felt really good that game. It was at the top of the 4th, and I had already walked one, and it had gotten a questionable call on that one. I was getting enough swings and misses and outs on my own. I mean, I had I think 7 strikeouts through 3, and I was going for number 8, and it was a 3-2 pitch on the same kid that I had walked before. And I mean, I threw this thing right down the middle. I could not have thrown it more down the middle. And Rob was the same thing because he was back there catching.
He just holds it.
And holds it right there. And he said, ball 4. And I took 2 steps off the mound. I kind of just threw my arms up kind of like, and I just said, hey, man, I thought that was right there, dude. And, like, I didn't curse at him. I didn't, like, get in his face. But I said, that was right there. And he took his mask off, and he threw me out of the game.
Man, okay.
You love to see it. You love to see it. $100 down the drain. You love to see it. Sauce, you ever been thrown out of softball?
I've never been thrown out of slow pitch softball. I respect the game too much, Cub. But I was tossed out of a little league game when I was a kid. And that was an electrifying feeling because I remember specifically the umpire was very bad. I mean, even as maybe I was 13, even as a 13, 14-year-old, I knew this guy was absolute. You can fill in the blanks behind the plate. And I remember he struck me out on a pitch at my eyes, in the other batter's box, and one that almost hit me in the gut, which isn't hard to do, but he almost hit me in the gut nonetheless. And he struck me out on 3 straight pitches, and I walked away from him, and I'm like, you're calling one up here, you're calling one out there, you're calling one inside. And it must have been the quietest ejection ever, because my back is turned to him. I'm walking towards the dugout, and my dad was the head coach at the time, looked at me and goes, son, head to the truck. You just got ejected. And I was like, what? I freaked out. And then I walked to the car, and I'm 13, so I think I'm going to get in big trouble. So I'm like crying on the way to the car and shit like that. What ends up happening is I'm supposed to get suspended for a game because I got tossed out. Well, it goes to the board, the officiating board, the umpires board, and they come back and say, actually, we're going to fire him. You're fine. Keep playing ball.
That is the same thing that happened out in Bloomington. Because,
No way.
So when I had gotten tossed, I had to obviously leave the field, go back to the locker room. And the director of the league came up to me, asked me what happened. And eventually he told – before I left, the umpire told my coach that he had thrown me out because I charged at him. And that was that. Yeah, I'm really intimidating coming off the mound.
He said, dude.
It's the flow. It's the flow.
Like, dude. Are you kidding me, bro?
And he threw me out. And he said, you can't charge at me like that. And I was probably 45, 50 feet from him still. And I was like, okay. So I went up, and the director of the league came over and asked what happened. And he said, did you curse at him? Did you get in his face or anything? I was like, no. I said, I didn't do any of that. It's okay. So after that game, he was on suspension for umpiring. He had like 2 weeks off. He comes back in 2 weeks. He's umpiring another game, throws about 2 more people out, fired. He got the can. He wasn't.
Wow.
No more.
What a good dude. You know, another guy we heard about that's a good dude, David Seifert. I heard he's a great guy, huh?
I mean, he was one of the writers out there, taking notes and putting reports out. I mean, I appreciate that he wrote about me, and he had some good things to say, but I didn't appreciate the attack on my changeup that he kind of threw out there, as calling it quote unquote fringy, and some people take that as I don't know. I didn't like it, but I mean, I'm out here. I'm gonna try to prove him wrong. And
kick rocks, David. I saw that change up.
Yeah, we'll say it. We'll say it for you.
Kick rocks. Hey, David, if you listen to this, kick rocks, buddy.
Here's what we'll do. You send me the video of that changeup you were throwing on your Instagram story the other day.
We'll break it down.
Send that to me. I'll make sure that David sees it.
That was actually one of my favorite videos, because I was down in Indiana on Friday, which is where that was, and I posted that, and I had my Pitching Ninja shirt on, who's obviously one of the most famous guys on Twitter, and he's my favorite account. I love going on watching all this stuff, and and he actually retweeted that, and I was on his page. Yeah,
that's so cool.
I mean, it's not. I technically can't count it as he posted about me, but I was like, I retweeted it. I posted a picture of him retweeting it, and I tagged him saying like, hey, one step closer to be an actual post on your page. And he liked that one too. So I'm getting a little bit of interaction with him, and hopefully one of these days down the road, I can actually be Pitching Ninja certified.
Ooh. This was bad transition on my part with the last question, but who's TJ?
TJ was also one of the umpires in the Colonel's Collegiate League. We had a lot of terrible umpires in that league, and from what I've heard, it's all Bloomington and Normal is just filled with bad umpires. And I mean, this umpire would talk stuff to you while you were playing. I mean, we had the one kid who you probably talked to was probably Billy Moat, who he posted that something about TJ, which was was one of the umpires. But I mean, I felt bad for him because this kid was in the box, and Billy's a great player too. But this kid was in the box, and the umpire's telling him like, "Hey, I'm gonna be with your sister after the game," like during the middle of the game. And I couldn't believe like umpires out there are saying these things.
Like a scene out of The Sandlot.
Yeah, honestly, it was.
He's probably got money on the game.
That's insanity.
He's like, dude, I got them -6.
Yeah, I mean, that was his job, was to try to get under the player's skin and just not do his job correctly.
Well, what? But why? But why? Add that video of the guy going, why? Why?
There was a time span in that league where the umpires there had to have thrown out about 10, 15 guys in a matter of a week, maybe. And it was to the point where even the coaches there were furious with what was going on. And they would tell the guys in the locker room, like, hey, just so you know, like, you guys are already beating these guys at life. These guys are doing this now. I mean, this is what they entertain themselves by screwing over 21-year-olds. You guys win.
Yeah, that's interesting to say the least. I'm trying my best to keep this episode as clean as I can because I would like for North Central to be able to repost this. And I would actually like to be able to play this interview on the radio station. So I'm trying to keep this as clean as I can, but that's ridiculous is the word that I will use. So I want to quickly, Charlie, to go back to what you're saying about the Pitching Ninja and that being one of your favorite Twitter follows. Now, kind of a two-parter, but first thing about the Pitching Ninja I think is so cool is that he'll find guys from all over the country, like yourself, like whoever, and maybe a post from him is enough for a team to see somebody, and then they get their shot. And I think that that's so cool, and I think that I think it's tremendous that he has that type of pull and that type of community on his page.
He's done really good things for baseball. I mean, he is out there doing everything he can to help younger athletes and to help guys get to that stage. And I mean, he's out there with he's helping professional athletes. I don't know if you guys see the interactions that he has with some of the players that go on, and he's like, they go to him and they say, hey, what do you got for me in terms of grips for this pitch? And he gives them what he's got from the other players he's talked to. So he's helping guys in the majors communicate and doing interviews with them, getting pitch scripts to send out to you guys. And he's so that we can see what those guys are doing, and from a fan and a playing standpoint. And he is one of the creators of a thing called Flat Ground Pitching, and Flat Ground Hitting is a database where you can take your videos and all that kind of stuff, upload them to his site, and people will go because of who he is. People, coaches, scouts, all those guys will go to those sites because all the videos are in that, and they'll just look for stuff off of those websites, just to try and find the next guy or give somebody their chance. And I mean, he has really turned it into being good at social media can get you somewhere.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. We are trying to be good at social media and get somewhere. So we understand that completely. Now, that I will say, Pitching Ninja is one of my favorite Twitter follows as well. But also up there is your head coach, Ed Matthew.
Oh, yeah. He loves Twitter.
He does. And he won't tell anybody that he does. But him and that little BlackBerry go to work.
That's my favorite thing. My favorite thing is to click some of his tweets and to see where he tweeted it from. Like because it'll say via BlackBerry for Twitter, or Twitter for BlackBerry, and so like I can just picture him on the BlackBerry doing it. Or sometimes it'll say like Twitter for iPad, and so I can just see him sitting at home like in a reclining chair, typing away like. And he's out there with guys like, I mean, he's got some funny stuff that he tweets out, and a lot of it you get a good laugh out of a lot of it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, when he was telling you the other day because of the bandana, he was like,
Yeah.
Welcome to Cobra Kai. That got me laughing. Now, is there something specifically that he says, like a saying that is your favorite? Because I know like dinner needs to be hunted every day is a great one that he always says.
Yeah.
Work to win is another great one that he says. Does he have a favorite like ism that he uses that is your favorite?
So he's got a couple that get the players going a lot. One of the ones is everybody starts, but not everybody finishes. Meaning everybody starts the season, but nope, not everybody finishes the season. So it's kind of gets us going to hey, we're going to start, but we need to make sure we play this thing all the way out so that we can be where we want to be at the end. And then he's got a mannerism that he does that everybody likes to imitate when he does things. I don't know what it is. He's always got going like this, just when he's talking, like whatever he's talking about, like, and like if he's like this, like, and he gets that hand motion going, and when people do it, like they'll like give it back to him like that, and he's like, yep, just like that, and it's really a lot of fun.
That's tremendous. That is actually now that you say that, I do remember having a couple of conversations with him where he was doing this. I'm like, is he showing me his breaking ball or what's going on here? No, but that is a lot of fun. Cub, do you have anything else that we need to bring up here?
First, I have to say all great coaches have to have weird ass sayings. They all do.
And to add on to the weird ass sayings, this is something that's probably overstated, but he looks exactly like Joe Madden.
Joe Madden, yep.
That makes it. Now I want to be his best friend. That makes it better. But Sauce, you know how we end this thing.
We always end it with a little bit of food talk. So hopefully you brought your appetite tonight, Charlie.
Mr. Chuck, you live in downtown Naperville. I know the mess hall's not that great. I know you and Sauce were talking about beforehand, like how it sucks, yada yada. But where's your favorite place to eat in downtown Naperville?
If I have to go, I have to go to the Giordano's. That's literally maybe half a mile from here. I mean,
oh, Charlie!
Just from that reaction, I can tell that you're a lose guy.
Oh, Charlie!
And to me, I think
this was going so well.
Charlie, Mr. Chuck, I'm a Giordano's guy. Sauce, don't ignore him. Ignore him. But my favorite place to eat in Naperville, and I rarely ever get to go there, is Crosstown. Have you ever been there? First of all,
I have. That's actually one of my buddies. They love to go there when they come, but it's to me it's going to be an unpopular opinion with a lot of people. I don't really like their wings that much.
Go. This interview's over with. Charlie, Charlie. They're literally on steroids. Charlie, nobody say a word. You are out of your mind. This man would probably rather go to B-Dubs.
Honestly, I probably would rather do that.
Dude, Charlie, what?
That's incredible. I mean, hey, we're not necessarily known for hot takes here on the Missed Call podcast, but this might be the hottest take there has ever been. This
man probably gets lunch at Dairy Queen.
I don't do fast food.
He's a finely tuned machine, Cub. You think he eats McDonald's?
He would throw 3 pitches, I'd be out. It's fine. I get that. Come on. That's my spot. That's like saying Cane's isn't as good as Chick-fil-A.
Wait, so which one are you saying is better?
Cane's.
Yeah, I think Cane's wins because of the Texas toast.
Me and Charlie.
Just because of the Texas toast, it's so good. The Texas toast is so good. I think that's probably where we should draw the line before things get just absolutely out of control here. We found a happy medium, right? Cub got absolutely worked up because of Crosstown. My blood pressure got raised because of Lou Malnati's, but also because you like Giordano's. Hopefully everybody grabs that joke. But we found common ground here with Cane's.
I do got to ask if Cub, did you figure out the wins and losses situation?
Yeah, we talked about it already.
Did we?
Yeah, you said that L doesn't count, so now I just look stupid. Well, that's every episode. So we're Mr. Chuck, it's okay.
It was tied when we lost the game, or when I left the game. So you know how that works. No decision. If we're not, yeah, you get it.
He thinks I'm stupid, Sauce.
No, I don't think you're stupid.
No, I'm just playing. I'm just going off of it. You're good. No, I saw it and I was like, okay, let me do my math here. 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay, 3. That's just an honest mistake.
But Charlie, we thank you and we appreciate that you gave us so much of your time tonight. We know it's not easy, especially with school getting in full swing, with baseball getting ready to start back up with practices and things like that. So we appreciate you doing this on short notice, and we appreciate you coming on the pod in general. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
I thought so too, and I'm glad you had a good time. But this has been episode 116. 116 of the Missed Call Podcast with Charlie Klemm. We'll see you guys next time.
All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah. Never seen a pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't call back, leave me alone. Please leave a message at the tone. All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah. Never seen a pick up right on time, yeah. If I don't call back, leave me alone. Ay, please leave a message at the tone, yeah, 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 yeah. Ay, ay. Got that AT&T, yeah. Never gonna answer me, yeah. That thing you think, yeah. I'ma pull up the thing, yeah. Ay, 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 they only get the thing, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.